that there are only three kinds of people in the world. Those who are in a valley, those who are coming out of a valley, and those who are going into a valley. Only three kinds of people in the world. How do I live with the presence of God? There's no greater gift that God will give you outside of your salvation than the assurance of his presence in your life. And the first thing we begin with is, if I love the holiness of God, I must hate my own sin. Because God will not countenance, he will not take a seat next to the sin in my life. How do I find refuge in the Lord God Almighty? There will be peace, because the refuge is now a metaphor for peace, the refuge or that shield. Number one, forgiveness of your sin. We have to begin there. This is where I find refuge in him. I find that he's my shield. I find that peace is forgiveness of sin. God doesn't just cover sin, he erases the debt. Grace, unmerited favor, means that your record of sin is cleansed. And if it's cleansed, if you have been forgiven by the grace of God, then stop dragging yesterday's guilt into your today. If I keep dragging my sin from yesterday into today, I will not find the peace of God. I'll seek it, but I won't find it. Exodus 33:14 says this, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. And it's remarkable because everything that Moses went through, everything that Joshua went through in the process of the Exodus and then conquering the promised land, just think about all the ups and downs, all the trials and tribulations, all the unknowns and all that stuff. But yet, God says, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest, because there's rest in the presence of God. So this metaphor we're using, dwelling with the Lord, right? The Lord will not dwell with evil. He will not dwell with sin, with wickedness, with unrighteousness. If I'm going to dwell with God, if I'm going to live in his presence, if I'm going to invite that presence into my life, I have to hate the sin in my life. You see, when we have his presence, even when life is troubled, we have rest. Peace is not the absence of trouble. You see, a lot of times we mistake that. So try to avoid anything controversial, so try to avoid anything uncomfortable, because we assume that peace equals rest or the absence of trouble, that peace is the absence of trouble. No, you can have peace and rest in the midst of trouble. You see, peace is the presence of God even in the midst of your trouble, even in the midst of your problems. It is the presence of God. So instead of asking God to stop the storm, I ask him to have his presence come into the middle of my stress. Don't ask God to stop the storm. Invite his presence into your stress.